No. No.
Here's someone speaking in the background on someone's. Can we all make sure we're on mute if we're not speaking?
You don't want to show off.
Has someone got their TV on or something? Okay.
It was Ian.
Councillors, welcome to the planning meeting on this day, the Tuesday, the 4th of August. Welcome officers. Can I just ask the Deputy Clerk, is the Town Clerk going to be with us this evening?
No, the Town Clerk's got an evening off.
Oh, okay. Right, thank you. Okay, let's start with the first item on the agenda, which is apologies for absence. Have we received any apologies? Okay, none received, but I can see that there are a councillor missing here. Okay, perhaps they'll join us later. The second item is declarations of interest. Would any councillors like to express any interest at all? We've got two. Councillor Plant.
I don't think it's a pecuniary interest, but I'm going to state it anyway. 38 Vicarage Road, plans full. I work with her, so I'll retain my comments to myself on that one.
Okay, thank you. And yes, Councillor Romans.
Just looking at item 6, 11 Cromwell Road has come up on the agenda. That is one of my neighbours, so I will abstain during the vote.
Okay, would you like to speak from the public gallery at all?
If I deem it necessary, I will.
Okay, all right, thank you. And yes, Councillor Clark, can you put your mic, can you, Councillor Clark, you're on.
Road.
Hi there, Councillor Clark, yes. What would you like to say?
I'd just like to say I'll abstain from the voting on number 11.
Cromwell Road. Okay,
Yes.
Are you going to speak from the public gallery?
No.
Okay, right, thank you. Right, so let's move on to item number 3, which is the minutes of the last meeting. Can I have a proposal for acceptance? Yes, Councillor Romans, thank you. And seconded, Councillor Gavashak, are you seconding? Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Okay, next, public participation. I would just, before Councillor Arlott, who'd like to speak from the for public participation, I'd just like to state that resident Richard Guy couldn't actually join us this evening, and he wanted to speak to an item which will be covered under the cycles later part of the agenda. That email has been circulated to all the councillors, but I don't intend to actually read that statement again. Okay, thank you. Okay, Councillor Arlott.
Yes, Chairman, I'd like to ask Councillor Clark a question, actually. Reference a letter that was in the Henley Standard last Friday, when he was basically complaining about the road surface of Cromwell Road. I think it's complained about potholes. Could I just ask him, how many potholes have you registered on Fix My Street, Councillor Clark, since you've been a councillor these last 15 months? Because it does seem strange if those holes have been there that long. And secondly, you stated that the cost of the roadworks in Gillett's Lane was going to be paid by the taxman of £100,000. Can you just explain exactly, where those taxes are coming from that are going to pay for the roadworks down at Gillett's Lane, please, as well?
Yeah, I'd like to answer that, Councillor Arlott. I read it in the Henley Standard, and that was the amount they were going to spend. And I thought it would be too much expenditure on the taxpayer. It would be better spent on filling all the potholes up in and around Henley and the pavements. And that was the reason why I wrote the letter.
Yeah, didn't answer my question, actually, Chairman. My question was, how many potholes have you put on Fix My Street in the last 15 months?
And sort this out.
Councillor Clark?
I've looked at my road and I've got about 40 potholes in my road and the pavements are a disgrace. And if you'd like to ask Councillor Romans, I think he will verify of what I've just said, plus other holes.
That wasn't really my question, Chairman, but let's move on.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the thanks for the question as a resident, Councillor Arlott. Okay, let's move on to Jodie. We haven't got anyone else, have we, that wanted to speak this evening? No. Okay, thank you. Right, so let's move on to item number 5, which is planned amended. And as always, I will please ask for our planning officer, Jodie, to advise us of her observations before we take any votes. Thank you, Jodie.
Thank you. So this is at 52 and 54 Grays Road. The amended plans submitted.
Sorry, Jodie, sorry, would you mind just stating the P19? I didn't do that.
Yeah, that's fine. P19/S4054/full. So my observation for this is an amended plan which has been submitted, and it shows a reduction in the ridge and eaves height and the pitch, and the introduction of gable ends to plots 1 and 2. It does go some way to address concerns previously raised about overdevelopment and the impact on the character of the area, but I would have thought that your concerns are probably still valid from before. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any proposals, please? Yes, Councillor Plant.
Not gone far enough. Refusal again.
Okay, and your grounds for refusal?
Again, overdevelopment of the site, out of keeping. I don't know how far we actually wish them to amend it, or whether we just wish them to come back with a plan that's similar in nature to what is there already, but that would be my proposal. Unless Councillor Gavishak wishes to add anything.
Okay, Councillor, are you seconding Councillor Gavishak?
Yes, I'll second that, and it's really on the same grounds that we stated before. They need to come back with a substantial reduction of the development on this site, or we will continue to oppose it.
Okay, thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Yes, Councillor Crook. Can you put your mic on, please?
Sorry, inadequate parking. There's not enough parking provision, so they need to provide that really. So
okay, so it's all the reasons that were stated before then. Okay, well, if no other councillors would like to speak, shall we just put it to the vote? The motion is for refusal. All those in favour of refusal? Councillor Arlott.
I'm going to abstain, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. That's carried. Okay, let's go to the next one then, which is P20 S1771 householder 34 Milton Close. Jodie.
Thank you. So a parking statement has been submitted with this amended application, which states that the property has 2 existing car parking spaces, and the proposed conversion of the garage would provide a utility room and a toilet rather than another bedroom. I wanted to also note that the Highways Liaison Officer responded to the consultation, and they have no objections to the proposal and have advised that the dimensions within the garage do not conform to current parking standards. Therefore, it's unlikely that the garage is used for parking of motor vehicles given the internal dimensions. So I just wanted to raise those points from your recommendation last time.
Okay, thank you. Let's have a proposal from a councillor, please. Yes, Councillor Gavishak.
Councillor Plant was first, though.
Okay, Councillor Plant.
You're welcome to go.
Sorry?
You're welcome to go.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I propose that we change our view to approval for this. I mean, we've had the parking, we've had the highways officer. Yeah, there was a bit of kerfuffle down Milton Close in this exact area And in fact, OCC have come up with a solution for the dust carts not being able to access the bins in this. But there are 2 spaces at the front, so that's acceptable from my point of view. So I propose acceptance.
Okay, Councillor Plant, were you seconding?
Yeah, I was going to say I used to live in
Okay.
Milton Close. It was a common development properties to do so. Yes.
Okay. Would any other councillors like to speak to this application? No? Okay. Let's put it to the vote then. The motion is for approval. All those in favour? Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you. That's carried.
Reluctantly.
Okay, now we're moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is 6 plans new. And again, I will ask Jodie for her observations on each of them. The first one up is P20 S1565 as a householder application for 51 Upton Close. Jodie.
Thanks. So I have concerns over this proposed 2-storey flat roof extension. It's very prominent from the station car park. It has limited design merits and it would be in conflict with the design policies within the neighbourhood plan, core strategy and the local plan. A pitch roof on this extension would be an improvement from what's proposed. In terms of the positioning of it, it is quite far away from other neighbouring properties, so it shouldn't have an adverse impact on their amenity. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do I have any proposals, please? Yes, Councillor Gavashak.
Yeah, thank you, Jodie, for your comments on that. Yes, I was a bit concerned about the flat roof. I would say that we, well, I'm going to propose that we accept this, subject to them looking at the flat roof with a view to them popping on a pitched roof for it. It's sort of a corner plot. It's not overlooked by, the other houses are well away. Yes, there is a view from the car park. So if people want to go down there and park up and have a look at this particular beautiful location, they can. But I propose acceptance of it. Thanks.
With the condition.
Yes.
Okay, Councillor Plants, you seconding?
No, I was going to say I'm supportive of what you're saying. However, we have this quite often when we say recommendations about a pitch roof, not on the plan in front of us. Let's reject this one with a comment that if they came back with a pitch roof, we'd probably accept it. So can only comment on what's in front of us. Rejection on this one. Come back with a pitched roof.
Okay, Councillor Gavashak, what do you say about that before I go to the next councillor?
Let's test it. So I'll propose just acceptance then.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Clark, you're seconding.
Yes.
Okay. So the plan as is, not with a condition.
No, just
Okay. Yes. Now I'm opening this up for other councillors. Councillor Crook.
yeah. Is that a house of multiple occupancy?
Jodie.
That
Yeah.
means far more people living there, and should we really be encouraging?
Where are all the poor people going to live? We need HMOs.
Well, you want to, well, neighbours, that's all. I'm just saying, should we really be encouraging this? I don't think we.
Where do all the students go and rowers that we want to welcome to the town?
Well, I'm just saying, neighbours, you have to consider neighbours and their privacy, and so I'm not in favour of HMOs with that many bedrooms. So
Thank you. Councillor Arlott.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue we should raise. If that comes at a later date, if it is built, well, that's a problem that SODC can try and resolve. I'm with Councillor Plant on this one. It's not up to us to redesign the building like Councillor Gavashak wishes to do. And for that reason, I won't be supporting the application.
Okay. Any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Romans, no? Okay, right, I'm going to put this to the vote then. We've got a proposal for acceptance as is, approval, that is. It's been seconded. Okay, so all those in favour? And all those for refusal of the motion? Okay, refusal is carried. Thank you. Yes, Deputy Clerk.
You can't, you need a new motion for
Yeah,
them
I'm
to,
gonna do it.
for the councillors
Oh,
to vote
I
on.
need a new motion, do I?
Yeah,
Okay, all right, it's, okay,
refusal
that's
has to
fine.
be debated. Yep.
All right, okay, so let's go for the other motion then. Councillor Arlett.
Yeah, I propose refusal, Chairman, overdevelopment, the appearance of the building. Yeah, basically that
Okay, is that seconded?
overdevelopment appearance.
Councillor Plants. Okay, that's seconded. Let's put it to the general vote. All those in favour of the motion? Okay, to refuse. Thank you. All those against? Okay, it's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Arlett. Thank you, Kath. Okay, next one is P20 S1942 11 Cromwell Road. Jodie.
Okay, thank you. So this is a retrospective application for decking at the rear of the property. It does slope, the ground does slope towards the back of this house, but it's difficult to say what the impact of this would be on the neighbouring amenity and to know the full extent without actually visiting the site. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Who had their hand up first? Councillor?
Lawrence.
Okay, Councillor Plants, thank you.
This householder just has it in for their neighbours, basically. They built a house,
Yes.
built a house with a bridge line that's too high. They just need to knock that down for starters. Once they've knocked the house down, they can probably do the decking after that.
Yes,
So to save them some money, they probably start ripping out the decking now and then the house after that. But yeah, it's unneighbourly. I'd go for refusal on this one.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other planning reasons for refusal?
Unneighbourly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that seconded, Councillor Gavishak?
Yes, it is. I mean, it definitely, we need to add, if Lawrence is okay, the height of the decking is also the reason why we're refusing, is because this is a sloping site. The height of the decking is huge. By the way, on the plans, it doesn't actually say what the height is, but from the visual, from the side view, it looks as though the decking is high. So when they're on there having their cocktail and having a party, they'll look over into the neighbours' grounds. So the decking's fine as long as it's on the deck, but not up high. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Plants, were you happy with that addition to your proposal? Okay, so would any other councillor like to speak? No, and I know that we have 2 abstentions anyway, so if Councillor Arlett and Councillor Crook doesn't want to speak, I'll put that to that motion to you all then. All those in favour of refusal? That's carried, thank you. Sorry, can I just ask, is it Kath or Jodie doing the minutes this evening?
It's me.
Okay, all right. Make sure that you put your hand up if you need
Yeah.
anything else, won't you? Thanks. Okay, so next one is P20 S2242 householder, and it's Philomel Hot Gardens. What I'm going to propose is that we actually take this one that's over the page, the listed building consents as well, if that's okay with you. So over to Jodie, please.
Thank you. So this site falls within the conservation area and is grade 2 listed building. It already has approval for the replacement side extension. This application seeks to extend this further by 1 metre into the garden. It is a reasonable distance from the extension to the neighbouring property to the north, so I have no overall concerns. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, let's go for Councillor Gavishak this time, please. Councillor Gavishak, have you got a proposal?
I propose acceptance of this. This is well, it's a large extension on a large house, but it's distant from the neighbours and it's also on a large plot size, so it's perfectly acceptable. Thank you.
Okay, and you seconding, Councillor Plant? Yes, thank you. Okay, would any other councillor like to speak to this application? No, thank you. Let's put it to the vote then. So the motion is for acceptance. All those in favour? Okay, thank you. That's carried unanimously. Right, moving on to the next one, which is P20 S2244 householder, 38 Vicarage Road. Jodie,
I didn't have any comments for this one.
no comments, thank you. Councillors, do I have a proposal? Yes, Councillor Gavashak.
Propose acceptance.
Okay, yes. Do I have a seconder? Yes, thank you. I'll take my pick. Councillor Romans, thank you. Seconded. Would anybody else like to speak? No, let's put it to the vote then, please. So the motion is for acceptance. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. The next one is P20 S2273, full application for Highleys Rotherfield Road. Jodie.
Thank you. So the plans illustrate that the proposed dwelling would be nearly over double the footprint of the existing dwelling. However, I do think that this is on a large plot, so it could accommodate a larger dwelling here. I do, however, have concerns over the plans which illustrate that there's a proposed dwelling and then ancillary accommodation as well. It looks as though these could be used separately, and therefore a condition on any decision should ensure that the ancillary building is that to the main building. It's not within the conservation area, but it is within the setting of the AONB, and therefore consideration needs to be given to that. I also note that there's a holding objection from the tree officer who is concerned about the mature pine trees located where the swimming pool building is proposed, and these haven't been included in the protection plan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any proposals, please, from councillors? Councillor Gavashak.
I propose acceptance subject to two conditions. Yes, the tree protection that the forestry officer has said, and also that any ancillary accommodation is ancillary to the house and must not form part as a condition, and it must not form part of a separate dwelling. I mean, this is Dallas comes to Henley. It's a huge building.
Thank you. Is that seconded by Councillor Plant? You're seconding Councillor Plant? Yeah. Would any other councillor like to speak? No? Okay, right. Let's put this to the vote then. This is the motion is for acceptance. All those in favour? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Okay, so the next one is P20 S2323, householder for 58 West Street. And what I'll do is actually, again, because it's listed building consent, I would take these next two together. Jodie.
I don't have any comments for this one.
No comments. Okay, thank you. Okay, Councillor Plant, do you have a proposal for me?
Straightforward, yes.
Yeah.
Acceptance.
Okay, thank you. Is that seconded, Councillor Arlett?
Yeah.
Okay, would any other councillor like to speak? Yes, Councillor Crook.
On the Henley Society, just said they had a little bit of a concern about the large size of the shed that's proposed. They just thought it was a bit large, that was all. Just to note that fact.
Do you want to show them the house before?
No. Yeah.
Any other observations from councillors, please? No. Okay, then let's take this to the vote then. The motion is for acceptance. All those in favour? Okay, this is carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, over the page, we have P20 S2378 householder 22 Berkshire Road. Jodie.
I didn't have any concerns with this one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councillor Gavashak, got a proposal for me.
I propose acceptance for this orangery.
Yes, it's very fine language, that, isn't it? Is that seconded, Councillor Plant?
It matches your outfit, Councillor Thomas.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes,
Orangey.
thank you for that. Always looking nice and summery in summer.
Good. Yes.
Yes, Councillor Plant, is it seconded?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? No, okay, let's put this to the vote then. The motion is for acceptance. All those in favour? Okay, thank you, that's carried unanimously. Okay, that concludes the planning parts of the new plans. So let's move on to 7, which is objections and calling applications. Do I have any proposals? Any proposals for call-ins, objections?
Nope.
I think just, should we call in 52 and 54 Grays Road?
Yeah.
I think I've called it in before.
Yeah,
Other than
let's
I
do
think we're
that.
fine. Okay, I'll do that one.
Okay, thank you.
Do
And we
want
just,
to talk
sorry.
about 11 Cromwell Road in the decking, because that is really objectionable and unneighbourly, but it's a small amount. I don't know what you think, Ken.
Well, we could always leave it to the head of planning to make a final decision.
Call it in. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Want to take a vote on that?
Yeah, can do. Would councillors like to take a vote on it? Okay, let's do that then. All those in favour of calling it in, raise your hand. Okay, thank you, that's
I thought
unanimous.
Councillor Clark wasn't going to vote on that.
Or Councillor Romans.
He didn't.
Okay, Jodie, have you noted those, Jodie?
Applications in, Mr. Arlett, Councillor Arlett.
Yeah, I have. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Right, so let's go to decision notices then, number 8. We just need to note that report. Okay. And the other one, number 9, next on the agenda is a certificate of lawful developments, 2 to 4 Reading Road and land at the southeast corner of Fawley Meadows, the Henley Royal Regatta. Okay. Right, next one is number 10. We need to consider a response to this appeal, which is the Town and Country Planning Act 1990 for Field House, 43 Deanfield Avenue. Jodie, is there anything you'd like to say to this application?
Yeah, so I just wanted to set out the background. So the planning permission was granted in December of last year. The committee recommended approval for that. Further application was submitted to vary and remove some of those conditions. This was refused by SADC and now this is being appealed. I do have some concerns over the removal and variation of these conditions. It would result in the whole of the roof of the basement extension being used as a terrace and the second staircase being added to the side of the terrace. We've made no comments to the application to vary these conditions.
Okay. Councillors, have you got any comments about this appeal after you've heard from our planning officer? Or would you like, yes, Councillor Arlett.
Could I suggest, Chairman, you and the plan officer put forward a kind of a one-page paper supporting the refusal reasons?
Okay, so we're with South Oxfordshire District Council on this one then, and with our planning, well, with our own planning officer. Okay, I'm happy with that, Jodie. If you're happy with that, the two of us can work on this one. Would any other councillor like to speak? No? Okay, let's go forward with that proposal then from Councillor Arlett. Thank you. And for the next one, all we're doing is we are noting here a withdrawn application for Greenacres, Elizabeth Road, which was an application that had been called in by Councillor Arlett. So that's been noted on the progress report. Okay, next, number 12. Some news that has delighted all of us, no doubt, after all the hard work that we put into our planning meetings. Would Councillor Arlett like to speak to this, or would Councillor Gaveshack like to speak?
Councillor Gaveshack put his hand up first, Chairman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be brief. I mean, I gave extensively my reasons at full council for this, and I think we should. I mean, I propose that we actually write a letter to Sue Cooper and the Chief Executive, Mark Stone, and also the Head of Planning, Adrian Duffield. The reason why I think we've got to write the letter is because this was anti-democratic to actually give to an unelected officer the final decision. I mean, the ward councillors are democratically elected. They should have the final decision. And also the second bit was the removal of the parish's rights to actually go to committee. So therefore, I think we should write a letter because this is being reviewed in October, and it puts pressure on the cabinet and the ruling group at the moment, because it was, after all, we're saying in black and white, it was the Liberals and the Greens that actually took away these rights, and they shouldn't have done. So I propose that we write a letter, just briefly, half a page, that just says the ward council should have the final decision and the parish's rights should be restored. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Arlott, would you like to add anything?
No, not really, Chairman. I say I'm not sure where Councillor Gavashak's coming from about the parishes. You know, they can go and speak at meetings now. The parishes. Can I just clarify where he's coming from there?
Right. What it is on the parishes, if we as Henley object to a major planning application, and the planning officer says, I approve this planning application, there is a conflict. Now, if there was that conflict before, we would automatically get, the parishes would automatically get their say at the planning committee meeting.
Yeah.
Whereas now, the head of planning has the say as to whether it goes or not. So if there's a conflict, my view is that the parishes still should be heard at planning meetings, provided they give sound planning reasons.
Okay.
I think that's fair enough. I think, sorry, when you were talking about the parishes, I didn't realise you were talking about the towns as well, but you know, we are all parishes. So
yes, sorry,
we're talking about Henley. Yeah,
We're just a large parish, yeah.
it's little and big parishes, yes, yeah.
Okay, yes, thank you. Any other councillors like to make any points at all? Yes, Councillor Plant.
Is it worth creating a petition as well that we use local press and parish circulations to get signed prior to October to actually get a number of people who are against it? I don't know if that adds any extra weight or whether that would mean nothing to the process.
The other parishes are writing in, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a view on that. I don't know if any of the other councillors have got a view on petitions. Councillor Plant, if I just share my view, if I may. My experience with petitions is that majority, I mean, I've done two now, one for LA Fitness and one for education. And my view is that the majority of people like to sign them online, and as it stands, SODC planning doesn't have a mechanism for actually counting the online parts of the petition, so they don't get counted. So that's the difficulty there. So what I would say is, although I think it'd be really well supported by towns and parishes, I think that unfortunately, I don't think it would carry as much weight as it would like, because they just won't be counted. So yes, Councillor Plum.
I was going to say, is it not similar to the one that I'm sure we've all received on countless WhatsApp groups recently about the 52 or 55 trees being removed that had 150 signatures online against it? It just shows a number, rather than just us as councillors, it shows the amount of residents and those that live in each parish who are also against it. I don't think it needs to be something that SODC actually orchestrate. Petitions are fairly straightforward to do outside of the SODC remit.
Yeah. Councillor Gavashak.
I would canvass against the petition. These are the resolutions, and these are the changes that have happened to the parishes and also to the ward councils. It's a very technical thing, and actually it's not the sort of thing that it would take about 1.5 pages to actually explain sort of the minutiae of this. So I actually think that the Liberal and the Greens have got the wind up to do with this, because all the parishes are up in arms. So we should just rely on letters from the parishes, and in October it will be reviewed and hopefully they will listen.
Okay, I've got a proposal for you. Let's do the letter like the other parishes. I'll do that with Jodie. If you want me to sign off chair of planning, or whether Councillor Arlott and Councillor Gavishak signs it, that can be discussed between us.
I think you should do it as chairman of planning.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, that's
Henley
fine.
Town Council's letter.
Yeah, on Henley Town Council headed paper. Then if nothing happens in October, if it doesn't go back to democratic voting, then I think, Councillor Plant, we should get together and make sure that we orchestrate a petition.
I'm
Yeah.
good.
Okay, right, let's do that. That's the way forward. Okay, Jodie, you happy with that? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think we just need to take a vote on that, just to a vote on the fact that we are writing the letter.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to do a vote. Okay, all those in favour? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you.
And we can, in the letter, we can say we unanimously pass this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're moving. Let's move
Chairman.
on. Yes, sorry, Councillor Arlott.
Could I just say, we have a district council planning meeting tomorrow evening, and at public question time, I've already put a question, and the question is to the head of planning to ask how many planning permissions he's granted with delegated powers. And I've asked also for a list of all the planning applications that he has passed as well. So that'll be put to the planning committee tomorrow night. And I'll do that every meeting we have.
Yeah, and thank you for putting that amendment forward as well. I mean, the vote I thought was pretty close actually in the end. But thank you for putting forward that excellent motion. I just couldn't believe that it got voted out. Anyway, let's move on.
Councillor.
We are where we are. That's going to be one of my favourite sayings, I think. Okay, moving on. Number 13, consultation, proposed disabled persons parking bays. Now, this is just to consider a response to the proposals for the additional disabled parking spaces, and also remove the ones that are no longer required in Henley-on-Thames. Now, as you will have seen, the document is huge, weighty document, but I understand that the only items we're considering for Henley-on-Thames are those that are marked in yellow. Yeah. Okay, yes, Councillor Arlott, you wanted to speak.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask the question, all these disabled parking bays, do the county council check all these before they remark them out? Like, for instance, I think there's 3 in Luca Avenue, for example. So are they checked out before they're remarked? That's my question.
Kath or Councillor Gavishak, would you be able to answer that one?
Sorry, could I just get clarification? If it's a valid disabled parking bay and it's gone through the proper due process, then yes, before they mark them out, they actually check a register as to whether it's valid. Some of them are worn out. For example, a resident of Grays Hill approached me to actually say his parking bay, disabled parking bay, is, the lining is worn out, and he wanted it relined. So the answer is yes, they do check it out.
Could I then just come back and just ask the question, could you find out how often they check them out then, please?
Now that's a good question.
If you could do
Yes,
that for me. Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Councillor Clark.
Yes, Stefan, there is one at the top of Wilson Avenue. The lady that lived there has since deceased, so that one could be taken away.
Okay, noted. Thank you. Councillor Crook.
I think the one at 50 isn't valid anymore because the people that live there don't live there anymore, and the people that live there aren't disabled. So I think that needs to come off as well.
Which road is that, Councillor Crook?
Cooper Avenue, they're not disabled. That was put there for a previous tenant and then it was taken, so it's not valid. It's in the
Okay.
highlight.
Councillor Gavishak, have you noted that one as well from Councillor Crook?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, any others that we need to note? No? Okay. So what do we have to do now? Deputy Clerk, have you done one of these before?
I think we just sent back any comments that we'd got.
Okay,
Oh.
right, well, we've got those comments, haven't we? Yeah. Any other concerns, councillors, to any other amendments in yellow? No? All right, thank you. Right, let's move on then. It's number 14, application for an order to modify the definitive map and statement of public rights of way. And it's just to note the determination by Oxfordshire County Council to modify the definitive map. And this is for 2 public footpaths. Okay, so we just need to note those. All right, thank you. Let's move on to number 15 then, the cycle racks.
Michelle,
Yes, sorry, go on, Deputy
Sorry.
Clerk.
unless I've misread it, I thought that they decided they weren't going to modify the definitive map. So
Yeah.
they're not actually accepting those.
Yeah,
They're not.
that's true.
No.
Yeah, they're not accepted.
No
order
order to modify
that.
definitive map. Which roads are they?
Walton
Walton
Avenue.
Avenue.
Walton Avenue.
And
Both sides of the road.
Yeah.
oh,
Thanks,
okay,
Emma.
fine, yeah. Yeah, I did think that was an odd one, actually. Okay, thank you. So the next one is number 15, the cycle racks. This is to consider a proposal from Oxfordshire County Council, who obviously are the Highways Authority for Henley-on-Thames. Councillor Gavishak, and then I'll ask the Deputy Clerk to speak briefly.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We're actually dealing with 3 documents. There's a document on the agenda. There are also some officer comments, and there is also the email from the gentleman whose name I didn't.
Richard
Yes,
Guy.
the one I mentioned at the start, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, what was his name?
Richard
Mr. Guy.
Richard. Okay, thank you. So it's all of that to to take into account.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm just going to talk you through. If you bear with me, it'll be a 3-minute monologue rather than the lengthy one that I normally do.
I'm not timing you.
It's fine. Just to give the
That's the
background to
prompters.
this, the government have clearly given some money. I won't say a substantial amount, but it's about £500,000 for this first tranche of improving cycling and walking. There is another lot of money coming forward, 2.6 million for Oxfordshire, that I've submitted bids for. The first lot, the county council had to get bids in within 4 weeks. It's called tranche 1. So what the Oxfordshire County Council did was actually submitted easy wins, and that was in Henley. We've had all the cycle bits re-whitened round by the traffic lights, and also these locations for cycle racks as well. This tranche 2, which is being discussed at the moment, is for larger projects. For example, I'm trying to get the Grays Hill pavement widened and also the pedestrian crossing at the top. So that's a large amount of money coming forward, but that's separate to this particular thing. We clearly want as a council to actually send the message to visitors and Henley residents that it would be nice if they walked to Henley or cycled to Henley. And one of the things that we can do is actually provide good locations for them to secure their bikes to. So this is hence we've got this particular proposal. Cycle racks in Henley so that people can cycle in, visitors can cycle in, and they can securely lock them to the to the furniture going forward. I'm going to propose acceptance of all of these sites with the exception of one, and I will just briefly go through page by page all of the things. So if I could ask you to look at page 54. That's a location in the SODC car park. I think that's a good location, and it's one that we should support. I've already been down with my partner, and actually sort of around it there should be some tubs of flowers as well, but that's a cycleway. Page 58, on the opposite side of SODC, next to the clothing bin, there's a place there for it. So two good locations inside SODC car park. By the way, SODC have already said that these sites are good. They've approved it at SODC level. Page 58. This is outside Asiana Spice, and again, it's a good location there. It's not used at the moment, so it would be a good location for cycle racks. Page 60. Now this is outside the Harrison Pole coffee shop. There is a wide, well, this might be debated, this particular one, but I think the pavement is wide enough there to actually get the cycle racks that you're seeing there on page 60 for there. There is quite a bit of street furniture there already, so an additional bit is not going to cause problems. People can still walk around it. They've still got the pathway on the left and also the pathway on the right. So I want to approve that. Page 62. This is near Monsoon. That is the one I want to take out. I think that's unnecessary because we've already got the one outside Harrison Pole. So my proposal is accept all of these with the exception of that one. Moving on. 64 is Duke Street by Davis Tate. That is just, there is already a cycle rack there, and we're just providing a few more bays. So I think that particular one is a no-brainer. Similarly, page 66, this is Bell Street. Again, there are two cycle racks there, and it's an additional 2 rings for it. So another cycle. It's a wide pavement, as you can see. I'm standing there, and there's a bike already strapped to it, so it is used. Right, slipway. This has caused obviously some debate with officers, and also there is ample space for a cycle rack there. It is really well used. This is actually a stopping place that I use. I cycle around the town quite a lot, and this is a place where I stop and to strap my bike to there and then go and wander off into the town to do shopping or look down the river. It's not in the way of the ice cream van. It is not in the way of the slipway. It's tucked over to the left. And again, I think this is a good site. In addition, we did look at sites on Mill Meadows, but the funding isn't there for the Mill Meadows ones. So those will come at a later stage. Now, in the officer comments, you will have read them. They have also proposed at the bottom of Friday Street and Thames side that we should ask for one there. And I think the answer is yes, we should. There's ample space there. It's a good spot. It's a good location. So therefore, there's that. So my proposal is all of the sites, except for the monsoon one, but with the addition of the Friday Street, Thames side location as well. If that's seconded, I promise I won't say any more.
Yeah, Councillor Clark, are you seconding?
Yes, I'll second that.
You're seconding, okay. I think what I'd like to do briefly before we put anything to the vote.
Oh no, it must be devoted.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
This really is, I'm not sure it actually needs a vote really, because it is the Oxfordshire County Council Highways. It's a decision for them. And really what we're doing is we are putting our views forward. So with that in mind, what I'm going to do first, if it's all right with you, Councillor Plant and Councillor Crook, I'll come back to you. If we hear from the Deputy Clerk first, who actually put the report together.
Thank you. I put a report together because this came in and missed T&C basically. So, and because OCC have got quite tight timescales on getting the cycle racks in, then discussed it with the town clerk and Councillor Gavishak, and the town clerk's view was that it could just go to a committee so that it at least went in front of councillors, and that it would also be advisable for officers to have seen the proposals. I was slightly taken back that quite so many comments came back from officers, but the comments are obviously varied. Some very positive comments from officers. I think it's definitely valid to put forward the town council's views to OCC. I have nothing further to add.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Chair, could I just add a couple of more things? Sorry, I didn't. I mean, I walked around with OCC officers for 3 hours on an extremely hot day, looking at all these locations, and they actually assessed them from a safety point of view. And there was one other thing that
they're removable.
Fine. Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, we've also got to bear in mind these have just bolted to the pavements. So therefore, if we find subsequently that there is a location where it's a pain in the backside, then we unbolt them and move them somewhere else. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, Councillor Plant had his hand up first, and then we'll go to Councillor Crook. Councillor Plant?
Fell asleep.
Oh, his internet's gone.
In support of everything the council. Oh, sorry.
Councillor Plant, we'll come back to you because your internet's dropped for a bit. So we'll speak to Councillor Crook first.
No, he can speak. He can speak. Is it all right?
No, are you back?
Am I back? Am I back?
Yeah. Kind of.
I think I was just going to say, yeah, completely in support. The only one that I'm not in support of is the slipway. It's access point to town. I don't think you'd be locking your bike there and then walking into town from there, considering how many bike racks there then would be in town. And also being a slipway, it's already used extensively by people putting canoes in and paddle boards in and trailers in. So I just don't think, you've already got the cluster of the ice cream van there already. I just don't think it needs the cycle rack there as well. But that would be my opinion on that one.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Crook.
I'd agree with Lawrence, but
that
also,
makes sense.
Where's Singers
Am I gone again?
No.
Also, a lot of cyclists, like the cycle clubs and everything, they all congregate out and go to the chocolate cafe. So they do park their bikes in that bit next to Singers Wharf. So that's
Yes,
what-
that's the one that Councillor Gavishak was responding to, is the Friday Street Chocolate Cafe one, yeah.
Yeah.
My main concern is there's a nasty little element in Henley, despicable little element in Henley that goes around nicking bikes. Now we need to make sure they are in secure locations, that they're not hidden away from nasty little bike thieves that want to go and steal bikes. That's my only concern, because you know people are getting their bikes occasionally. Yeah, so if we can have it so that they're not in places where they can't be seen, that's all I would yes, so that
Like
there's
to add, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so councillors Arlett and Romans, would you like to add anything to this discussion?
Yeah, just very quickly, I would support this. I do think the locations are common sense. I do think it's a good use of space. I would also agree with Councillor Gavishak's thoughts on not going ahead with the one outside Monsoon, given there is one across the road. I'm in favour. I think it works.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, if Councillor Arlett hasn't got anything to add, if you don't mind, I think I mean, I don't normally speak from the chair on my opinion, but I will on this occasion. I think that
You
all
should,
of-
Chair, because you have an opinion.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I do think that we do desperately need more cycle racks in Henley. But also, I think the proposal that Councillor Gavishak you have for that kind of super highway through Henley really needs to go forward. I know that can't be done in the first tranche, but I think that's an excellent route. Let's talk about the site specific. Again, I agree that Monsoon, the one outside Monsoon, shouldn't go ahead. I think that the one on the slip does have merit. However, I do take Councillor Plant's and Councillor Crook's views into consideration. It is, you know, it's potentially quite a busy area, and it is actually well hidden where it is actually placed right now. But they are removable. Okay, so we do have to keep that in mind. All of these can be removed. So just bear in mind, there's a range of responses here. So what I think I will do is, even though we don't have the power to you know, take this to a planning committee or anything like that, it's just getting views back to OCT. I will actually put it to a vote and say, let's go with Councillor Gavishak's view, which has been seconded, which was laid out, and we'll go for all those in favour.
Can I
Yes, would you like to sum up,
Oh,
Councillor Gavishak?
Yeah, it's really, you know, I hear everybody's views with regard to the Friday Street slipway. There clearly is some concern there. Let's
New Street slipway.
the new street slipway. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, that
Yeah,
was
not
a
the one that's
Freudian
just been
slip, wasn't it?
concreted over.
Yes, yeah.
Friday's gone already.
Yeah. Okay. So let's
Over
get
our
it
dead
in.
bodies.
Let's get it in, and I will make it clear to the OCC officers. Let's get it in. Let's look at it. Let's make sure it's tucked well away, and it's tucked well away but usable. And if it doesn't work, yeah, within a month we can oik it out and bung it somewhere else. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go with that then. All in favour, please raise your hand. Okay. Thank you. That's good. That's a good result. Thank you all for working hard on that one.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, so I do believe that's the end of the meeting at 2029. Thank you.
We've
No,
still got-
Jodie, is another one?
We've still got more.
Two more.
We've got more on
Two
it.
more.
Okay, hold on.
Nice try.
I'm too eager, aren't I? Okay, let's just go to the last part of this then. Okay, sorry. Yes, this is actually important. Slipway Friday Street. We just need an update from Jodie, please.
Thank you. So I understand as of today that Sorbonne Estates have been parking vehicles on this land. I've informed SODC planning enforcement team of this, and they've spoken to Sorbonne Estates today, who have confirmed that their vans would not park on the slipway area in the future. They have apologised for the misunderstanding that's taken place because of their actions and looking at longer term solutions. SODC Planning Enforcement are still investigating the breach, and I'll be hopefully able to update you further next time. The EA's enforcement team are investigating as well, because the flood risk activity and accommodation permits are required and they have not been obtained yet. So I'll keep on at them at the moment. Update you next time.
Okay, would any councillor like to speak? Yes, Councillor Plant.
It's just hysterical that they can say it's a misunderstanding that they've got in the slipway and park 2 of their vans on it behind a metal gate. It's an absolute travesty. Just.
Yeah.
Councillor Gavashak.
Yeah, Lawrence, I was picking up exactly that point. How can it be a misunderstanding to park? It reminds me of Oscar Wilde. To park 1 van on there is misfortune. To park 2 on there is a complete and utter mistake. And to put the chain railing across it as well. So it's actually 3 mistakes. So yeah, it's some misunderstanding. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Clark.
Hand in the diggers.
Like Stefan said last time, get the breakers in there and break it up, and they can't park there then.
Okay, thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Okay, well, let me just chip in here. I think the consensus that we reached, and do correct me if I'm wrong, at full council, the town clerk was of the opinion that we should just wait for the legal matters that come back to officers at Henley Town Council, and then we should agree a plan of action. I think we were quite clear in that decision. If anyone disagrees, can you speak up now? Yes, Councillor Plant, is that your understanding?
I still think we should make it clear using the Henley Standard that we haven't done it and it's Sorbonne that's done it and it's gone ahead without planning and Environment Agency support, because we don't need legal consensus to know that that is exactly what's happened. And at the moment, residents who I speak to, clients of mine, patients of mine, think that we've done it. So at least we can put the record straight for now and say that it's undergoing a due legal process. That's just my viewpoint.
Councillor Arlott, the Mayor.
I can understand where Councillor Plant's coming from, but it's very difficult when your colleague, Councillor Hamilton, has nothing else to do but taking pictures and blaming myself and Councillor Gavashak. So it almost looks as if it's down to Henley Town Council, which obviously isn't. It's a pity he hasn't got any time to go to work these days, because to be honest, he's making absolutely mockery of himself, not the town council. He's making absolute mockery of himself with some of the daft things that he's doing at the moment. It's a waste of time speaking to him because he's in a world of his own at the moment, but you know, such is life. So that hasn't helped the town council, and I suppose it's a pleasure to Councillor Hamilton.
Councillor Plant, would you like to come back on that at all?
I think there's no helping some people.
To be honest, it's not fair on Lawrence, but I will sort of make it clear, and I probably want it.
Yeah, but sorry, just interrupting. Councillor Plant is the leader of the Conservatives.
Yes, I know.
That's why I was just asking.
Just to make it clear what Councillor Arlott is referring to, I received an email from Councillor Hamilton today with a photograph of the Vans Park with the headline "On Your Watch." On your watch. Now, I am not responsible for parking the vans. I am not responsible for concreting the slipway. It's Sorbonne that have done it, and it's got nothing to do with me or the Henley Town Council or any councillor. So therefore, I would ask that Councillor Hamilton withdraws that email and just starts becoming a bit more sensible as a councillor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that contribution, Councillor Gavashak. Okay, so what we'll do from here is I think I'm getting a consensus that we really do need to take some action now. My suggestion last week was that we actually invite them to a meeting. There is very clear intent.
Yes.
They did actually say that they've said this to a journalist, not to Henley Town Council. They've said to a journalist, we will be pursuing retrospective planning. Now, that is clear intent. And I think we need to get round a table and just have it out, you know, without actually, I know where the town clerk is coming from, but I think we just need to do this sooner rather than later, because the sorts of questions about the legalities can take some time to unravel. So that's my opinion. Councillor Plant.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree more, actually. I don't think you sit down at a table with them until we understand the legalities. It's one thing to put the public record straight on the fact that the town council hasn't done it and that Sorben has had, and state the facts as they are now. But I'm afraid you don't sit down at a table of negotiations unless we have the full legal understanding of where we're at.
I agree with that.
Okay, all right. So anybody else like to speak? Councillor Crook?
Yeah, can we get, is there any chance, I've probably asked this question before, about those moorings removed, so it's back to a proper usable slipway for the public?
I think, yeah, I agree that I don't know how that even happened in the first place, how they were you know, put up there. Councillor,
Sorry, could I counsel that we keep them separate?
Yeah, yeah,
Well, we'll tackle that later.
yeah, sure. Councillor Clark.
It gets messy and confused.
Yeah, Councillor Clark.
Yes, thank you. Stefan, could you tell us when we're going to have the next transport strategy meeting, please, as it comes through planning?
You have already been told. There is a date for your diary, Kath, which I believe is the 17th of August.
17th of August.
Yeah, 17th of August.
Yeah.
Okay.
Papers will come out next week. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. One more point from me then is, I think I'm happy then that we stick with the town clerk's proposal then, that we await the legality and then go from there. And Councillor Plant, if you wanted to actually take up any publicity that you feel is necessary in, you know, with other councillors, then, you know, we're all more than happy for you to do that. Any publicity about this is welcome.
I just think it's a prime occasion to get the Henley Standard, or ask if the Henley Standard will just run a small article using even that picture of the two Sorben vans parked on it, just to put the record straight at current, so that the rest of us don't have to defend ourselves in the current situation. I don't want to enter into any legalities of it, just put what's happened.
Yeah. Okay. All right, then. Well, listen, what I'll do then is I will pen an email to the Henley Standard, Henley Herald and Councillor Plant. I will keep you copied in. Yeah, I think we'll go from there. We'll make sure that we've got, they're always very, very helpful, our journalists here in Henley, so I'm sure they'll want to cover that. Let's see what they say until we await the legal update. Okay, should we move on, councillors? Last item.
Thank you, Chair. Yep.
Item 17, which is the progress report for applications which has been called in, which is somewhat scuppered at the moment. Councillor Arlett, is there anything you'd like to say to the report?
I'll just go through the list, Chairman. The majority are not determined as yet. So I'll just make comments on 4. The one at 55 Park Road was basically a renewal of a previous planning permission. 52, 54 Grays Road, there's a new application come in, which we discussed tonight. Green Acres, Green Acres has been withdrawn. 253 Grays Road, that's being waited to be determined as well.
I think we've got, I think we've, sorry to interrupt you, I think we've had a notice through about 253 saying that there's a determination at SODC on the 16th of August. Is that, did I see that right, Jodie?
It hasn't been determined yet.
It's going to committee.
The only one with concern concern is the one for 9 Gravel Hill, where the officer wishes to approve the listed building consent,
Mm.
and I won't consent to that. So this could well go to the head of planning. This could be his first major decision on Henley. So we wait in abeyance for that, unless they decide to take it to planning. The problem with that, if you grant listed building consent, it obviously makes it a lot easier to grant a planning application when the planning application comes in, which is a problem. But anyway, that will be down probably to the head of planning. So I really look forward to that one.
Okay, right,
That's the
now,
one.
for the second time, I'm going to call it into the meeting at 20:41. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you.
Good to see
Thanks,
you.
Michelle.